Welcome back to another episode. I'm Monica Verga Alborno, and this is the Wand Her Wild podcast, a space for modern mothers reclaiming their wild, living with intention, and redefining what it means to feel fulfilled while raising a family. Here we explore mindful motherhood, conscious parenting, feminine rhythms, and the power of self-discovery. Guided by curiosity, we share honest stories, soulful conversations, and actionable steps you can weave into your full, everyday lives. Hello. Welcome back to another episode. It's Monica here. And as a quick recap on our last episode, I talked all about my multi-generational 3-week trip that I took with my family in April of spring break. And I've had a couple weeks now to really sit with it a little bit more. And I've realized that I wasn't looking for a better itinerary. I was really looking for a different way to experience the travel. I talk about this so much within Wander Wild. And then when I practically go out into the world and experience, I really want to think about, okay, like today's episode is not about travel tips that you're going to get wherever online. I'm actually going to try 3 experiments on my next family travel experience this summer. And I'm sharing them with you because I'm going to try them out, see how they feel. And it's kind of just a different way. It's a different way to experience travel as a family and what I really feel like is the future of family travel. And many of the ideas that I shared today in this episode are also now influencing the way we're planning trips for Wander Wild within our travel planning services, which little shout out to that. If you haven't planned your travel this summer or fall or even next year, if you want to get a head start on that, we are open to planning family travel itineraries that are really unique and encompassing so many of the elements of family wellness travel and just the way that we are at Wander Wild. So if you're interested in that kind of way of traveling and don't necessarily have the time to put in all the effort of researching all these different places and experiences and activities and eateries and all the things, um, the lodging, the logistics, we are going to do that for you and put it in a turnkey way so that you have your itinerary planned and you can just enjoy your vacation and let it unfold. All right, so let's get into what we're going to talk about today. So first of all, I had a couple realizations during this trip that I just kind of want to regroup on quick. So one of the realizations I had was I knew about the mental load. I think a lot of us have heard this word, the mental load. There's an awareness now there to it, but practically I still wasn't able to put it down on this recent trip that I took. So I knew about it, I talk about it, and I still carried it. I would say I wasn't able to fully release the mental load on this specific trip. And I did feel at times like I was physically on the vacation, but mentally managing it. And so when I'm thinking about what's next, is everyone okay? The logistics, the meals, the transportation, the timing, I was still really carrying all of that throughout my trip. And this is a realization that I want to figure out. I want to crack the code on, how do we still let some of this go? And I don't think I can fully experience my own family travel adventure when I'm holding all this. So I'm going to get to, the experiments I'm trying on my own family travels, but these are some realizations that are going to tie into the experiments that I share. The second realization that I had is that I need to let go of control. Not because I don't care, but because carrying everything as a parent means that I don't really fully get to experience everything. And I don't want to be like the CEO kind of thing of every family vacation. I want to actually participate in being part of the trip and not the one that everyone's looking to the whole time to say, like, what's next? So this realization led me directly into our first experiment that I'm going to share in a minute. But like, how do I let go and still have the trip stay together, still keep it together? And then the third realization I had that's going to play into these experiments is we got to dance in the rain. we got to dance in the rain because things are going to happen when we travel. There are going to be maybe delays, weather, unexpected changes, plans falling apart. And a current mantra that I have written on our refrigerator right now for daily life is I choose to have a great day today. I choose to have a great day today. And that's how I want the trip to feel too, right? Like, let's dance in the rain. If things don't always go as they should have, that doesn't mean the trip is broken or it's going to affect the experience. We just need to think about how we respond to it and just learn to go with it. And I think that also plays into adaptability, and we're becoming adaptable. Like, travel for me is a lot about learning and experiencing. And so dancing in the rain is a way to say, I'm going to choose to have a great day today. My perception is going to affect my reality. And yeah, we're going to have a great time no matter what exactly happens. Another realization, the fourth one I had, was fueling ourselves really matters. Travel often means eating differently. You know, we all know this. We're away from home and our normal routines. And I've really been thinking a lot more about supporting locally owned earth table restaurants, grocery delivery when I'm staying somewhere where we have a kitchen, more meals. You know, I like to do a combination really of like staying at a hotel, and then also having some homestay type experiences where we do have a kitchen and we can make meals, cook in, make meals at home, and we can really make choices that are less processed foods, less seed oils, less preservatives, and really maintaining some of the rhythms of feeling good that we do at home with the food that we're putting in our bodies. And why that really matters is it affects our mood, it affects our energy, it affects our regulating of our body and just enjoyment of the trip. So that's my fourth realization that's going to go into these experiments that I'm sharing. And so the fifth realization that I want to share is that service feels good. It feels good to give back and contributing to wherever you're visiting. And some ideas that are going to play into the experiments I'm trying are being involved in service. Does that mean a beach cleanup, tree planting, visiting an animal sanctuary and making a donation, supporting local causes? And really, that travel can become very consumption focused, but what happens when we are able to make a contribution during our travel? And I've been traveling this way in a really long time, most of it solo, but I want to incorporate that into the way we're doing family travel. Okay. And so on to the experiments. So there are 3 experiments that I'm going to try with my family this upcoming summer, and I will report back later to let you know how they go. And I feel like these are really original. These are not things that you're just gonna Google or use AI to find. So these are my experiments, and these really come from the realizations, the reflections that I just shared. Those 5 things that I shared. So experiment number 1 is that I want to do a family yes day within the vacation. So each family member gets a yes day. I'm kind of calling it in this way. So each family member gets to choose a day where they are planning the trip. And they'll get to plan it a little bit ahead of time and also be responsible for executing it. Like even our little ones, right? I have a 3 and a 5-year old. So this is including the kids, this is including dad, this is including grandparents, anyone that's coming along with you. Everybody gets their own day, a yes day type thing where they get to choose everything we do for that day. So they get to choose the activities, where we're going to eat, what we're going to eat, the pace, and the priorities. And why I'm excited about that is that I feel like it just takes the weight off of mom. It shifts where the weight is from mom always being the one that everybody looks to a different family member being kind of like responsible for how that day unfolds. And everyone gets to participate in creating the experience, right? They all get to choose what's important to them. And kids can also learn from this, which I think is kind of cool. They get to learn planning, they get to learn leadership, they get to learn teamwork and decision making. So it's kind of like a win win for everyone. I don't know how it's going to play out with the little ones. They might still need some help and just generational gaps as well. But I really want to try this out and see how it feels. And maybe most importantly, really, is to start appreciating the amount of thought that goes into creating a trip. Because I honestly didn't even realize it growing up how much my mom put into a lot of our travel planning. until I was doing it myself. So I think that will also kind of shed some light and remind the elders as well, like how much really goes into planning before it actually happens. And what if everyone helped carry the experience, right? And it wasn't just on one person. So that's experiment number one that I'm going to be trying this summer, and I will report back and let you know how it goes. Okay, so experiment number two, I am scheduling in restoration within the itinerary. And what I mean by that is this one feels really huge. I spend so much time thinking about what everyone else is going to enjoy and what would happen if I actually just plan my own restorative time. And I think this almost goes for every adult in the trip. Like, I want to do this for dad too and grandparents too that are holding a lot throughout the trip. I want everybody to have maybe an hour a day, each adult an hour a day, where they're doing something by themselves to just solo restore themselves. And for like my dad, that might be going fishing by himself. I mean, he likes when the kids tag along too, but sometimes he just needs a moment to like go throw a fishing pole in the water and kind of sit there. For me, that might mean going to a local women's circle or having a sound healing massage or running on a local trail. For my husband, that might mean having a solo coffee without anyone interrupting him for a little while. And that we actually plan these things out, even like doing a cold plunge in a lake if we're just hanging out near a lake and saying, there's an hour that's blocked off in the schedule. Monica's going to go take a cold plunge in the lake, come back, take a shower, and then rejoin the group. But that restorative time is actually put in our itinerary ahead of time and it's held sacred. It's not going to be like, nope, let's, chop that out because we ran out of time, but those moments are really going to be held sacred, those sacred restorative times. Um and again, like, I don't feel like it's just only for mom. I think it's really important for mom, but that dad, grandparents, the other adults that are holding a lot of weight. The long road trip that I just did with my family recently, like my dad was doing a lot of the driving. My husband does a lot of the driving if we do road trips together. So, my mom also does a lot with the kids and we all do our part, right? We all need that restorative block, which I do feel like this is pretty radical because I don't remember my parents doing that growing up, of being like they have a 1 hour block of some type of restorative time for themselves. But this is my experiment number two, that I really want to work this into our schedules and that I don't feel guilty about it and I don't, decide not to do it in the moment, but it's really like put in the itinerary to stay there as a block of time. And I think, yeah, the key takeaway with it is just I don't want to have to squeeze self-care into the trip. Like, the trip should feel good. Like, I want to feel good when I'm on vacation and not drained. So it really needs to be in the itinerary and stay there. And then my last experiment number three, is that I need to stop being responsible for creating all of the magic. And this might be, I think, one of the biggest shifts for me. I've just realized that a lot of energy goes into creating all these meaningful moments. And yes, I do want it all to be meaningful, but what if someone else could do it instead of me? And that's where I'm really considering investing into specific activities that are put in our schedule that are facilitated by someone else that can create that magic, and I can sit back and just be a participant. So things like a private family yoga class, a cooking class, an interactive sound journey, like a synastry astrology reading, a private flora and fauna hike, a farm tour, a curated dining experience on the beach, like different things that I give to someone else to facilitate, and I can really just lean back and enjoy the moment. And I don't have to be responsible for making those moments magical. And that's just a big realization for me, that when I'm creating the magic, I'm often feeling like I'm not able to fully experience it, right? Because I'm thinking about the logistics. And why can't I lean into local guides, teachers, facilitators, and let someone else hold that experience together and let myself participate? So, this is how I'm feeling. These are the experiments that I'm really going to try to incorporate in my travel. And I will report back and let you know how they unfold. And all of this really is influencing Wander Wild because I do feel like we are pioneering this concept of family wellness travel and this different way of traveling. It's a slower pace, it's a more present pace, and it is a way of experiencing the world, of learning from the world, and not only from the world, but learning more about ourselves, deepening our bonds with our family, and also just coming back with an activation. Like travel should be activation where we feel like within us something has lit up, something new has lit up, and we're coming back with a new perspective, new eyes, things feel brighter, and you're getting more clarity onto how you want to move through life after you return. And so travel for me isn't just like sitting on a beach having a cocktail. It was never about that. And it's just kind of I think travel for me for many decades actually has been way more than that, right? I have been doing all these things I'm talking about in some aspect for many years, solo traveling, traveling with my partner, and then, now traveling with kids, traveling with my parents, my sister, whatever it might have looked like, different people coming along on the journey, but different parts of the world. But a lot of these elements I talk about have been doing for 20 years. It's not something new to me to travel in this way. But how do I really make it work with small kids and with multi-generational family um and these different stigmas that we are kind of carrying as a society? So yeah, so Wander Wild is really encompassing a lot of these elements. If you come to an in-person mom and child retreat, we actually, I just want to say, if you haven't figured out what you're doing in July, we have a couple spots left in our July 6th through the 9th retreat in Hudson Valley, New York, and also in the winter, February 12th through the 15th. So if you want to grab one of those spots, you can. And we're also doing a lot of family travel planning itineraries, which have been really fun. I really enjoy doing those, and that's amazing because it can be anywhere across the globe. I mean, I've been to 80 plus countries, have lived on 4 continents. I'm very well traveled, and I travel in this way. So if you are looking for places that have earth to table foods, that are local boutique establishments that are, in nature, but are also very luxury focused lodging, that are family oriented and not just, the kind of like surface level family stuff, but they really are a good experience for the entire family and welcoming of children. And if you want an experience that is very turnkey, where we are creating what the day is going to look like and all the activities that go into it, where you're going to eat without having to do hours and hours of research. Because at this point, I have so many connections all over the world with places that align with Wander Wild and that way of traveling. So please, yeah, reach out if you are still planning your summer travel and you would love some support on that, or your fall travel, or even next year, getting ahead of it. We would love to support you in that way. And it's not just about where do you want to go, what do you want to do. It's really more about when we're thinking about traveling and we're thinking about planning, how can responsibility, for me, this is what I'm thinking, right? Is how can responsibility be shared? Who is carrying the mental load? How will everyone recharge, restore? How do we create connection? And how do we build in the meaning in the trip? And how do we help mom experience the trip too? And so, honestly, for me, the goal is not having a perfect itinerary. The goal is really actually experiencing the trip that you're planning. And that means letting go of control. That means sharing responsibility, prioritizing restoration. That means creating room for flexibility. That means fueling ourselves well with what we're putting in our body and nourishing ourselves with. That means contributing to where we can on our trip and allowing other people to create some of the magic, letting facilitators and letting local guides take some of the ownership of creating that magic for you. And so these are the experiments that I'm working on, these 3 experiments. And honestly, I'm curious to see what happens with them. I haven't quite figured out where my travels are taking me this summer. We're still kind of deciding as a family what we're going to do. Um, Obviously, I'm going to be in Hudson Valley, New York for part of July and in New Jersey visiting my family, but the rest is a little bit questionable right now what we're going to do. I think we're going to end up spending some time in Europe, um, bopping around, maybe either flying or driving a couple of different places and trying out wherever we go these experiments, right? Because these really go for anywhere on your travels. Even if you do a staycation, which we might do a staycation for a couple weeks too, and just pop the tent out in the front yard, do some grilling, bonfire, enjoying our beautiful view here, having some family visit us. And still, I can incorporate these experiments here. So, wherever your travels are taking you this summer, if it is a staycation, if it is to Europe or anywhere globally, if it is, somewhere in your backyard, you can try these experiments too. And I would love to hear if you do and how it goes. And feel free to reach out to me if you are interested in coming to a mom and child retreat, grabbing one of our last spots. And also, if you are interested in travel planning services, because it's been so fun to make these itineraries. I really enjoy it. So please get in touch if that's speaking to you. All right, until next time, thanks so much for listening today. See you soon.